Hakadosh, Boker Or, Shavua Tov, Masechet Bava Kamma Daf Kuf Aleph, Amud Aleph 101a, but we're going to start in the Gemara on 100b. Okay, so on Kuf Amud Bet, the Gemara, 2 lines from the bottom. The Gemara says as follows. We said that what happens if right now you dyed the wool in a fire? My ba'ur, what exactly does it mean here, right? Ba'ur, ka'ur, because it says over here that the tseva, right, was ka'ur. So he comes and he says, Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rabbi bar Chana, that he went and he made it, he colored it, he dyed it, kilabus. What is kilabus then? So Amar Rabbi bar Shmuel says, kafra dude, which means that which is clean from the pot of the color. So the tzabah, he basically, what he did was the dyer, the one that dyes this wool, he used the leftovers, which is left over in the pot, in order to dye, right, this wool. And therefore, that's the kavanah when it says that if he actually did it, right, ka'ur, right, tzivao ka'ur. That's what we saw in the beginning, right, when we said if it was going to be tzivao ka'ur, which means that he put it like with a tzeva, which is like ki'ilu, that it wasn't that nice. So therefore, he has to actually, the adol tachtona, he has to actually come and he has to pay for it. He doesn't get his full reward. It's because he didn't do a very good job. He basically used the leftovers, so obviously he's not going to get paid a very great amount. Okay, fine. 2 dots. Top of Kuf Aleph Amud Aleph. Tana Rabbanan, we learned to the Braita. Hanoten esim leharash laasot mehen kiseh ve'asa mehen safsal. Imagine right now you gave wood to a carpenter. Now you want to make a chair, but instead of making a chair, he made a bench. Safsal, to make a bench. Asamen kiseh, he made a chair. Rabbi Meir comes and he says, Noten lo deme etzav, you give the bala etzim the value of the wood, okay, without the appreciation. That was the shita of Rabbi Meir, okay? So the carpenter stays with the utensil, and he just has to pay for the wood. Rabbi Yehuda comes and he says, no. Ima shevach yater ala yitzia. If it went up in value more than that which it cost to make the chair, how do you say hotzot in English? Meaning the costs of the expenses. That's a better one. Thank you. Right, more than the expenses. Noten lo et yitzia. So you just give him the expenses. But if the yitzia, the expenses is more than the appreciation, noten lo et shevach, then you only give him the appreciation. Okay.
Always has the lower hit.
Yes. Why? Because he changed, obviously. So Rabbi Meir comes and he agrees. What happens though if he did what you told him, but just he didn't do it that nice? Meaning you gave him money to make a chair, he made you the chair, but he made you a very bad looking chair, and you give it to him for a good looking chair, right? Or a good looking safsal, bench, and he gave a bad looking bench. You're right. If there's more appreciation value more than the expenses, so then notenlo demei yitzia. All he has to do is give him the expenses, and then he keeps, right, the chair. But if there's more expenses more than the shevach, all he has to do is he has to give him the shevach. He only has to give him the appreciating value. So now the Gemara is going to ask the following question. So they're going to ask the following question. Yesh shevach samanim ala tzemer, or en shevach samanim ala tzever? When you're going to come, you're going to paint these, basically, these dyes, they get absorbed inside of the wool. And it obviously appreciates in value. Is that something which is tangible? Or maybe it's not something which is going to be tangible, it's only a color. Do you know many times we speak about this? For example, is it considered a chatzitza when you have, for example, the henna? The henna is, they put it on the hand. Temporary. But the truth is, though, that no, but even without temporary, it's nothing tangible. You go like that, you could rub it's a color. It's not tangible. Meaning, well, exactly, it's like a tattoo, something very, very similar, right? The only thing is tattoo goes very, very deep.
Permit your daughters to have henna?
What?
It's permitted.
There's no problem. There's no issue.
Okay.
100%.
It's not a tattoo.
No, it's not a tattoo. No. He's just saying that it's like meaning like this. We know that if you go to the mikveh and let's say you put Tipex, you know what Tipex is? Tipex is whiteout. So whiteout is an actual something tangible. You scrape it off and it's able to come out.
Correct.
You could come and take this henna and you could do this 100 times. There's nothing there. It's not something tangible. It's a color. So the question that we're asking is, do we say that the color which is absorbed by the wool, is that something tangible or not something tangible? That's what the Gemara is asking. So says the Gemara, hey chidami, what's the case exactly? Ilema, if you're going to tell me now, the gazal samanim, that he went and he stole samanim, vedakinu utranim, and what happened was he crushed it, right, and he soaked it, right, and then he came and used it for the dye. So he already actually made a shinui then. Meaning the fact that he stole samanim, yes, and then he ground it. And so obviously he acquires it. So therefore, for sure, he's obligated to come and to pay the value, right? So says the Gemara, Lot tzricha, what are we dealing with? The gazal samanim shruyim v'tzava. You stole samanim which were already ground and they were already soaked, and then you used it as a dye. So what's halacha mai? Yeshevach samanim agebetzemek Elmaleh havli samanai deshetat. Do we come and say that ki'ilu that we have, right, the shevach, the appreciation of the color, and therefore you could come and you could say, listen, give that back, give it back to me. Well, Dilmar, maybe and shevach samanim agebetzemek Elmaleh, he says, I don't have nothing by you, which means, right, because the samanim which are absorbed are not considered chashuv, that it's not considered anymore.
He stole his water that
yes, but at the end of the day, if you're going to tell me, but if you're going to tell me that it's not something tangible, so therefore you can't ask anything back from me because it's nothing tangible. I cannot ask you from something which is not tangible.
I steal a bucket of yours that is dye dissolved in water, and I use it, and now
they said, "En shevach samanim al gabet semen." They come and they said, there's no real tangible appreciation of the dyes in the wool. Mimatzi Elmaleh, can he just tell you, they said, fine, you're right. I cannot come in, but give me at least that which was lacking. Meaning like this, you had this entire pot. Yeah, you have this pot. Yeah, rise and thrive. That's why he woke up this morning. Yeah. So what happens is you have the entire pot. Now, when you come and you soak the wool inside of it, you're right. Even if I'm going to tell you that maybe there's nothing tangible in the wool, meaning I take out the wool and there's nothing tangible. It's got a dye, but it's not tangible. It's like the henna over here, that it's not tangible. You can't do anything with it. You're doing like this. There's nothing to scrape off. There's nothing being, after a whole while, it'll come off by itself. You understand? And that's why, since it's not something tangible, by the way, there's no problem with chatzitza. It's not considered a separation between you and
the owner can say, give me back my liquid dye.
But at least 1 second. But when I came and I put it inside, let's say it was up to here. It was right by the rise. Let's say 1 liter, right? When you come and you soak something, right, and you take it out, now it's going to be, let's say, 0.9, right, or 0.8 liters, or whatever it is. So therefore, the question is, you're right. It's not tangible on the wool. There's nothing tangible. Meaning, I cannot come and tell you, give me the wool, because the wool and the dye which is already inside the wool, since it's not tangible, so I can't tell you give that back to me either. But I could still tell you, at least give me that which was lacking now in the liquid. Meaning beforehand I had ink which was 1 liter, and now I have ink which is, let's say, 0.8 liters. So therefore I could still ask you for that. So says the Gemara, Ela, but rather we have to explain the safek the other way around. En shevach samanim gabet semed ubay shlumele. If you're going to tell me now that there's no mamashut, right? There's no shevach, right, in the samanim, meaning there's no appreciation of like tangible on the wool, and does he have to pay, right, for the samanim? It's not kayam anymore. Or dilmar, maybe yes shevach samanim agabetzeme ve'amnile hamanchi kamach shaklinu. He could come and say, yeah, but it's right in front of you. Take it. What do you want from me? So says Gemara, shaklinu, how are you going to take it? Shakle, how's he going to take it? He says, bitzfon, right? You could take it off with a soap, right? That means you could come with a soap, right? And you could just scrub it off. So he says, tzfon ibur mabre hashavalu avid. He says, 1 second. This soap, you're right. It could actually come and take off the dye from the wool, right? But to bring back the dye to the owners, it's not going to help. Meaning, one second, what are we trying to do here? Richard right now had this dye, right? We came and we actually used the dye. If I could come and I could tell you that, listen, I could come and I could take off the dye from the wool by coming and taking a soap and a scrub and just scrubbing it off. Chazaku Baruch, you took off the soap, right? You took off the dye with the soap. But did I give it back to Richard? I give it goes off. Come on, Kaddish, there's nothing left. It's not like I could take it off and somehow miraculously do like this and I abstract it and put it back in there. It doesn't work. So what's going on? So says the Gemara, what are we dealing with? That the person stole the tzemen, the samanin, and the dye, the chad of one human being. Meaning it was the same owner as the tzemen that you stole, the wool that you stole, and the same owner, right, of the dye. Meaning it's the same owner for both the utensils. Meaning the wool and the dye belong to the same human being. So what did he do? He used the dye to color, right, the wool. Right, now remember, it's the same owner, the same guy, okay? So now he's giving back the tzemen to the owner. He's giving back the wool. So yes, right? Samanin l'tzemen. One second. If you're going to tell me now that there's something tangible, well, he's giving it back. He's giving back the wool.
They're saying if you dye it, you don't have to give it back because if
or maybe en shevach samanim al gabei tzemen, right? There's nothing tangible. The tzemach mahadale samanim lo madale. According to this side of the coin now, Richard, it comes out like this. If you hold that it's tangible, right? Again, one more time. If you hold that the dye, which is in the wool, is tangible, I gave you back the wool and I gave you back the dye. I gave you both. Now, even though the dye was now inside the wool, and before it was separate, but now I put it back inside, but since it's tangible, I'm giving you back both things. But if you're going to tell me it's not tangible, right? Where's the dye? I gave you the wool. Where's the dye? You say, what are you talking about? But I used it to dye the wool. Well, but it's not tangible. So you only gave me back the wool. Where's the dye? That's the question. Capish? So Amri, so they asked, 1 second. 1 second. What is the doubt even? Why don't we just say something very, very simple? Did the wool go up in price or not?
Not what I was thinking about.
Oh, very good. So you have it there then, which means, right, at the end of the day, if it went up in price, right, he has to pay on the appreciation value. Okay, so since he has to pay on the appreciation value, right, so even if there's not going to be mamashut, right, in the meaning, even if it's not going to be something tangible, he still has to pay for the samanim. So 1 second, but he already did, because now that went into the value, now he already paid him. Meaning, one more time, what are you trying to say? You're trying to say that the thief should pay for what? The thief should pay for the, right? The thief should
the owner's got to pay the thief for the improvement.
No. But that's how the thief is paying, that's how the thief is paying back. Meaning, one more time, what was our question? Our question was, right? You stole two things from the same owner. You stole the wool and the dye. Now the question is, if it's tangible and you put this inside of this and you give it back, so I give you both back. Because since it's tangible, so I give you back the dye and I give you back the wool. But if you're going to tell me it's not tangible, I'm only giving you back the wool. I'm going to ask you, Richard, where's the dye? So says the Gemara, but I don't understand you. Did it go up in price?
It went up.
It went up in price. So it went up in price. So now I have to pay the thief for it going up in price. So now that I have to pay the thief for going up in price, it comes out that he paid me for the dye. Because it comes out that I don't have to pay him for the appreciation value, because now, instead of me paying that, he had to pay me for the dye, so it cancels out. You understood? Meaning I owed him for the appreciating value, but he owes me for the dye. So now,
The appreciation in value should be more than the dye.
Okay, so then that's the question. That's the question. The Gemara answers the Gemara just like Richard said. What's the pshat? Dizal tziv'ah. That means basically what happened is that really be'emet, the safek was because the price of the wool that is dyed wool went down. And therefore the appreciation value is not the value of the dyes. Meaning, like Richard said before, when you come and you take a dye and you put it on the wool, the appreciating value of the utensil usually is much more than the dye. And that's with anything. You take anything, you take any type of a thing, and you dye it, you give it a color, you give it, the appreciating value usually is always much more than the color. Okay, it's always like that. Okay, but here, since it went down in price, that's where we don't have that. Okay, fine. So says the Gemara, or if you want, you could answer. Okay, go on, for example, we're talking about another case. Shetzava behu kofa. Right? The Gazlan, right? Tzava bahem, right? Kof. What does that mean? Right? And not the tzemen. What does that mean? He came, right? Okay, so there's a whole question here. If you look in the footnote here, you can look at the footnote.
He died a monkey.
It's either a monkey or if it's a basket,
Says here, monkey.
Right? A basket of netzarim. Basically, it's like a kupa, not kof, kupa, right? Which is basically like a type of a basket. But according to both of them, basically, he went and he dyed something which does not, it hardly appreciates in value. So it's two different answers about why is it that the appreciating value is less than the dyes. Okay, because if not, usually it's always much more than the dyes. So either number one, because the dyed wool went down in price and therefore it went lower, meaning that when you stole the dye, the dye was normal price, but the dyed wool went down in price. And once the dyed wool went down in price, it's not the same price anymore, meaning it doesn't reach it, right? But you have another concept. What's the other concept? The other concept is that means that's the first answer. The second answer, how could you have it that the dyes are worth more than that which you dyed? When you either dyed, whether it's a monkey or a basket. In this type of a basket, right, it doesn't go up in value. It's not like, like, wow, look, now it's this color basket. And, and you see that, by the way. Right? Many times you actually see that it depends on color. Sometimes it's price. For example, you want to come and you want to lease a car, right? So sometimes it depends on the color of the car, it'll be a different price than a lease, right? Maybe it could be that everyone wants white. So all of a sudden white is more expensive than just a regular black or a regular, I don't know what. Yeah, I know that's the way it is. I know that.
Some
right?
colors are very, very expensive.
Exactly. So it all depends on the color. So sometimes it all depends on that. Okay, fine. We're clear until here. Another nafkamina we're going to bring down, Ravina Amar, right? Because remember, we had two different answers. How could it be that the dye is more expensive than the actual item that you colored, that you dyed, that you actually put the paint to it? And that's why the question is, do you have to pay or not to pay, right? That difference, obviously. So Ravina is going to answer, what are we dealing with? Kegon, he said, no, the wool belonged to one human being, and the dyes belong to another human being. And now, not that you dyed the monkey dyed you. No, it's not you, but the utensil, right? What does that mean? You understand? Which means that the monkey came and he was the one that came and took the dyes and he dyed the wool. So yes, right? Give it to me. Or Dima, maybe we're going to say that there's nothing tangible, and therefore you could say that I don't have anything by you. So that's a question, okay? Meaning Richard came and he trained his monkey to dye things, and that's what the monkey did. He's a good, Richard is a jack of all trades. You should know that. Yeah, so Mazal, his name is not Jackie. Yeah, fine. So says the Gemara.
You have a canvas that's just white, and you add paint, it could be worth thousands of dollars.
Exactly, 100%. Even though there it's a little bit different, because there the entire thing is only the painting, but it's okay. It's something similar. Meaning that the canvas by itself is not worth anything. It's only after that you're coming here. It's like a get. That a get beforehand was a piece of paper. It was $1. It was not even $1 in the dollar store. You understand? Now all of a sudden, once you come and you put everything there, now it becomes something important, right? But many other things, it's a table. The table is already a table. Now you come and you put a little bit of a different dye. You bought a marker in Home Depot of a certain color, and you colored it up. Beforehand, it was also a table. The only thing is, because that does it go up a lot of value or not? But it's not that it completely changes the entire concept of what it was beforehand. Okay, fine. Tashema, we're going to try to bring a proof then. Beged shetzevao beklipe orla. What happens if you took a clothing and you colored it with the fruits of orla? Now remember that orla are the first 3 years, right, of a tree, and you're not allowed to benefit from it. It's a surbana'ah. Yeah, you're not allowed to benefit from the fruits of the tree the first 3 years. So what happened was, is beged shetzava'o b'klipei orla yidalek. What does that mean? You burn it, right? Why? Because it's like orla itself, and therefore you have to burn it. Alma, so you see from here, chazuta miltai. Appearance is actually something. Because here, the fact that you tell me that you took this clothing and you dyed it, and now you have to actually burn the clothing. So if you see that the color is actually makes a big impact, you have to burn the clothing. So says the Gemara, no. Amar Rava says, there was different. Because when the Torah prohibited you hana'ah, they prohibited you even something which appears from the eye. Meaning, to your naked eye, when you come and you look at this, was this colored? Of course it was colored. So even if it's not tangible, meaning I cannot come and do anything with it, it's not like I could smear it off or scrape it off, but
it's a different criteria.
It's a different criteria. It looks like the Yisur Hana'ah. And therefore the Torah prohibited not only benefiting from it, even benefiting something which looks to the eye that you're benefiting from it. So it's completely different. Titanas, we learned in the Braita, Arelim lo yachel. We're talking about orla, that you're not allowed to eat from it. And liela Yisur Achila, that you're not allowed to eat from it. How do you know you're not allowed to benefit from it? And how do you're not allowed to color it? And you're not allowed to use it as oil, like for lighting, meaning that you're not allowed to come in. How do you know all these things? Tamulomar comes to teach you. Orla is mentioned 3 times in the pasuk. Why does the Torah mention? Why is it written in the Bible 3 times, Richard? So therefore, just like, by the way, Basar v'chalav, you should know, it's this week's parasha, Mishpatim, right? At the end, right, of Aliyat Chamish. There it actually says something incredible. Lo tevashel gedi b'chalev imo. Lo tevashel gedi b'chalev imo is written in 3 parashiot. The exact same thing. You're not allowed to cook the gedi, the kid, right, with the milk of its mother. So the Gemara actually brings on, why is it written 3 times in the Torah? Lo tevashel gedi b'chalev imo, to teach you Yisur Achila, Yisur Hana'ah, Yisur Bishul. You're not allowed to cook it, you're not allowed to eat it, and you're not allowed to benefit from it. So therefore, and then when we say Gedi, it's lav davka, it's not specifically the kid, it's any type of a meat. B'chalev imo, lav davka, the milk of the mother, milk of any mother, and therefore meat and milk becomes prohibited in these 3 things. So the exact same concept, the Gemara is now saying, why does it say 3 times orla? Lerabot et kulam, to tell you that you're not allowed to have any type of hana'ah also. It's not only just eating orla, you're not allowed to benefit from orla. And even the benefiting of the orla, which is going to be the lighting, right, for lighting of a candle, right, or the, how do you call this, the tseva, the dyeing of it, it's also included in Yisur Hana'ah. It's also, you're not allowed to benefit from it. Okay? Next Gemara. I hope it's clear. Tashema, another proof. Where again, we keep on trying to bring about what is the answer to our question, to our original question. If it's tangible or not tangible, what happens exactly? So says the Gemara, we switched. Beforehand, we were talking about the first 3 years of the tree, which is called Orla. Now we're talking about Shemitah. Shemitah is in the 7th year, and that's why it's called Shevi'it. Shevi'i, right? The 7. So Shavuot is the 7th year. So therefore, when you have right now a clothing that you came and you colored it with fruits of Shemitah, says the Gemara, also Yidalek. You burn it. Now, 1 second. What's going on over here, right? Even if we're talking about the other Isurim, other than Orla, right? Here, right? Are you going to tell me that now the Mat'eh is considered Mashu, that it's like something tangible? Answers the Gemara, no. Shane Hatam, it's different over there. Tamar Krab, as the Pasuk says, Kodesh tiye lachem b'avayata tehe. What does that mean? It's always going to stay perot shvi'it. So therefore, there's still kedushat shvi'it even on the appearance of the fruit. Meaning, when you came and you took this fruit and you dyed the clothing with this fruit, even on the appearance, it has kedushat shvi'it. It has the holiness of
Shemitah would apply if you didn't have the actual fruit.
Exactly, because you have the appearance. So even on the appearance of Shemitah, still has the same holiness as the Shemitah in itself. Kuf Aleph Amud Bet, 101b. So says the Gemara, Rabba Rami. Rabba is going to come and he's going to ask the following contradiction. Today we learned in the Mishnah, Beged shetzavo klipei orla, yidalek. A clothing that you colored it with the fruits of orla, the first 3 years, you have to burn it. Alma, so you see from here, chazuta mintai, that the appearance is something. Or minu, we have a contradiction, revi'it, dam. When you have a 86 cc, 86 milliliters of blood of a deceased person that gets absorbed in the ground of the house, right? Habayit tameh, the house and the kelim, the utensils which are in the house, become tameh, just like ohel hamet. So ve'amru ve'amri la, and some people say no, habayit tahor. So now the Gemara is going to come and is going to try to understand what's going on exactly. Okay, now says the Gemara, Vela pligi. Now there's no machloke between the two different girsah. Remember, one girsah said that the house is tameh, another girsah said the bayit is the tahor. So says the Gemara, Velo pligi, but there's no machloke between the halacha between the two girsahot. Habeklim davu meikara. One of them is talking about that there was already these utensils in the house before the revi'it, right? The blood was actually absorbed into the ground, and therefore they become tameh. The habeklim datu levasof, and the other one is talking about that it came afterwards. So since it comes afterwards, that's why it's going to say that it's going to be tahor. Okay, but it's not going to be mitameh be'ohel. Okay? And now the Gemara is going to continue. So basically, we just had a little pause just to explain that even though we just brought down two different opinions in that Mishnah, it's not really a contradiction. It all depends when the utensils came in. Before it was absorbed or after it was absorbed. If it was before it was absorbed, right? And the utensils were there, it's going to be tameh. But if it was afterwards, it's going to be tahor.
Because it's absorbed in the dirt.
Exactly. Okay. Now that was just like a side point, just to explain that there's no contradiction in that Mishnah. Now we continue to what we were talking about now. Okay. Nivle'a biksut. What happens now if this blood was absorbed in a clothing? Okay. Ro'in imitkabeset aksud yotze mimena revi dam. Let's try to see if you clean this clothing, will the revit of blood come out? Right? So then it's going to be tameh. So the entire house is going to be tameh. But if you cannot have a revi dam come out,
really mean the house. It means the
kelim, the utensils in the house. Yeah, exactly. It's utensils.
The ground.
Yes, it's tumat ohel, right? Which means that it's in the tent. Everything that's in the tent becomes tameh. Not like Richard said, it's not the actual house. Okay, but now he says bimlav, and if not, so then it's going to be tahor. So you see from here that even if the revi dam does not come out through the washing, still there's going to be mareh. So right, that means there's still going to be an appearance, because you can't take it out 100% from the clothing. So the Mishnah said that the house is going to be tahor. So you see from here that the mar'eh does not have mamashut. It doesn't have tangible. It's nothing tangible. So therefore, this Mishnah is a stira to that which we learned with clothing that you colored it with the dye of orla. So answers the Gemara. He says, Amar of Kahana mikuler v'yot shanukan. You're right. Meaning we were trying to speak about appearances. And we said that the appearance of orla still is orla. The appearance of shmita is still shmita. So we asked, what about the appearance of blood? Right? Because here you still have the appearance, but everything had to do with, can you extract a revi'it of blood or not? And do you say it's going to be tameh or not? So the Gemara says, this is a leniency of the revi'its. What does that mean exactly? Right? The Mishnah is talking about over here a revi'it dam, which the tum'ah is very, very light. And therefore we're talking about dam tvusa, which means that it's only going to be the Rabbanan. Dam tvusa is a revi'it of blood that's coming out of a person when he's wounded at the time of death. Okay? And therefore dam tvusa, right? That actually comes from a Brit Milah. You know that we're going to say today in a Brit Milah, mitvoseset bedamai chayi, va'omar lach bedamai chayi. So mitvoseset bedamai means it's a revi'it of blood that comes out of a person when he's being killed. And we have a doubt, right, if the entire thing came out when he was alive, and therefore the blood is still tahor, or maybe it came out after death, and then the dam is tameh. So, for example, right now there's a little bit of blood coming out right here.
It's only under the binnacle.
But if that blood comes out when a person's alive, it's tameh, right? Can you eat blood? So the truth is, mina Torah, you're allowed to drink blood of a human being. You're allowed to drink blood of a human being. It's only blood of an animal which is prohibited. The only reason why you're not allowed to drink blood of a human being is because it looks like animal blood, meaning it looks like blood. Maritai. That's the only difference. That's why, for example, I'm going to give you an example, Richard, which is brought down in Shulchan
It's the soul.
Listen carefully, please. Right? The Siman Samech Vav, if I remember correctly, Hilchot Dam. Right? Can you look in Sefaria, please? Sefaria, Yoredea, right? 66, please. Look it up. Start looking. Right? So basically, what happens is that in the Hilchot Dam, right, in the laws of blood, it's actually brought down as follows. Imagine right now, I have blood coming out from my gums.
You bit your tongue.
Right? Or you bit your tongue. That's also a very good example. Thank you, Rafi. Right? I come and I bit my tongue. Right? I cannot swallow. I cannot do anything. I have to start spitting out every single second. Right? Or not. Says Halacha, no problem. Right? You could swallow anything that you want. But let's say I come and I bit, and now the blood goes on a piece of bread. The Rashba said, now I'm not allowed to eat it. Why? Even though it was inside my mouth, I'm allowed to. Once it comes external, it looks like it's going to be blood, and therefore it's going to be. So now the Gemara comes and it says, so Rava comes and he has a contradiction. You see that chazuta is something, which means that the appearance is something. The contradiction is that if it, so we stopped in the middle. Then we said, if it right now got to we see that the revit dam is something. So we're talking about dam tvusa, which is the Rabbanan. What does that mean? When blood comes out of a human being, we said it's not tameh whatsoever. If it's dam tvusa, means that it came out from a womb, but now if it's during his lifetime, right before death, it's still tahor. And therefore it's only going to be assumed Rabbanan, right? But if it's mamash coming out, right, from, and therefore if it only has the appearance, we're going to be lenient. But if it's going to be the revit of dam that comes out from a met mamash, that's mina Torah, right? Because after death, it's tum'ah. Again, we're not talking about drinking it. Now we're talking about tum'ah and ta'ara. So if it's during the lifetime, it's going to be tahor, legamre. It's going to be after death, it's tameh. It's tameh mina Torah. During the lifetime, it's only going to be the Rabbanan, but it's called dam tevusa, right? And that's what means bosesech b'd'mayich. So now we have another contradiction. Rava comes and he asks a contradiction. Now we learned in the Mishnah and Shavit. Mimina tzovim, when you're going to come and you're going to count all the different things that have Shavit. Mimina tzovim, we're talking about different plants and everything that you could use for dyeing. Sviches satim, we're talking about karkum. I think they say saffron in English. No, saffron? I think so. The kotza, and it's another type of a plant also that they take a type of like a tchelet from it, like a blue dye, purplish turquoise dye. Yeshlan shvit, it also has shvit. And also the money which you get for them is also kedushat shvit, and therefore it has biur. What does that mean? You have to get it out of your property after there's no more in your field. And when we're talking about also the money which you're getting biur also, almas you see from here, etzim, wood has kedushat shvit. Well, meaning we have a contradiction. Or you collected it for eating. It's called kedushat shvit. If you took it for wood, and by mishum kedushat shvit, you don't have kedushat shvit. So umeshani, so we come and we answer. The pasuk says, "Vayita Shabbat haaretz lachem leochla, v'mishanato ubiuro shavim." The tzemach that you're benefiting from it, right? At the time that it's going to be taken away from the world, it has to be like eating, and that's when you're talking about the biur, which means that you're mamash, you're eating it, and therefore it's that's the moment you're benefiting from it. Yatsu etzim, this comes to its wood, that the benefiting of the wood is only after you destroy it, right? Which means that it's not the same thing. Meaning, when you come and you put the wood, the main benefit of the wood is going to be after it's already becomes into a fire. But beforehand, you're not benefiting from it from the exact same moment. So ask the Gemara, "Va'ika etzim demashchan." Then Atanu b'Yiron Shalu. This is 1 second. But you have wood, which is a shemen, that you light them, and it's like a torch. So you benefit from it right away. It's not only afterwards when you made a fire and then you're cooking from it. It's right away you're benefiting from it. So Amar Rava comes and he answers, "Stam etzim lasaka henondin." The majority of the wood is just for hasaka. It's like for firewood. It's not for this torch or whatever it is. And therefore, obviously, it's going to be the lechatechila. It's not going to have kedushat shvit, and therefore there's not going to be a problem.